Welcome to CRM Audio, the Dynamics 365 podcast with Business Solutions MVPs George Dubinsky, Joel Lindstrom, and Sean the CRM Hobbit Tabor. This episode of CRM Audio is sponsored by Alexa CRM. WordPress powers more than 25% of all the websites on the internet and is the number one choice for blogs, websites, and portals because it's open source, simple to use, reliable, and extendable. Dynamics CRM has become a de facto standard in sales, marketing, customer service, and industry solutions. Now they can work together thanks to the Dynamics CRM WordPress plugin built with love by the Alexa CRM team. Capture forms, engage your users and customers, all without writing any code. Control your site in WordPress, keeping your data in CRM. To build the plugin, Alexa CRM has created an open-source Dynamics CRM PHP toolkit, unlocking the world of Dynamics for PHP developers. Download your 30-day trial from alexacrm.com/plugin and instantly create a portal by connecting your CRM and WordPress site. We thank Alexa CRM for their sponsorship of CRM Audio.
Hello, George. So are you back from Lisbon now?
Well, back is a very flexible definition. I'm currently at Stockholm Arlanda Airport, waiting for my flight to Qatar, and then back home to Sydney. So it's been a long week too.
Sounds like it. So give us an update from Lisbon. Judging from your Facebook photos, I think all you did was eat there.
Well, that was pretty much because I was sponsoring the conference. I didn't have much time to attend different sessions, and I also did the talk and helped out just a bit with the innovation challenge. I was app challenge this year. So it's been a busy affair. In the absence of convergence, the slack's been picked up by CRM UG and Extreme. So we had two-part events. So it was Extreme365 traditional for partners. Was extremely busy. So we had, I don't know, about 700 people. So it was very, very busy. Then there were 2 days or 1.5 days dedicated to customers. That was a kind of inaugural customer Extreme, which wasn't too bad, but definitely the number of people dropped. And so the one thing, of course, I like about Extreme is that if you get in early enough and you get your room booked early enough, then you stay in the same hotel as the conference. So that's how they organize it usually. So they use hotel facilities. So it's just downstairs. You know, if you want to do some work, you just go upstairs. So that was nice. In terms of materials, I would say that there was no anything, groundbreaking. There wasn't any news as such. There were bits and pieces here and there, stuff that some of it we already knew, some of it new stuff, but nothing groundbreaking. It feels like that's what we are going to have for the next few months. I think for the rest of the year, there will be no groundbreaking stuff. There's no new stuff. It's just basically Microsoft staked the ground with 365, and now they basically build in a fort and, the pub, the hospital, the police station, just build in a city around staked territory. So making sure that things are solid, things work as advertised, and so on. So just nothing new as such. Did you hear otherwise, or what's?
No, I didn't. I was watching the announcements. I know there were a few things that came out about the business edition of Dynamics 365.
The one someone tweeted, I can't confirm or deny. I wasn't at that talk. where they said that you won't be able to downgrade from enterprise to business. That's kind of not a big deal. I mean, I always expected that to be the case. What is interesting is that, and I don't know what the situation with upgrading, because remember, 6 months ago, there was a talk that there will be no upgrade from the business to enterprise. That was really the concerning part, because I said, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not concerned if we can't downgrade because I guess if you were wanting to downgrade, your business is shrinking.
Yeah, it's that wasn't a big deal. That definitely to me it's not a big deal that you can't downgrade, but the fact that I'm interested to hear if you can upgrade, because that's definitely the sticky point. If you have, for example, 200 users and you grow by 20%, suddenly you find yourself in the enterprise land. So
Okay.
we kind of were expecting a bit more around, as developers, we were expecting a bit more around customer control framework, or this unfortunate abbreviation of CCF. Nothing happened. There were nothing new announced there. Definitely now we know it's coming, but I have sneaky suspicion that it may not come mid-year release, but it will be coming in towards the end of the year. The one thing I feel what is going to happen is someone dropped it. I don't know who it was in the conversation, that the rumors are that, remember this deprecation of SOAP endpoint?
Yeah.
It's deprecated now, so it's supposed to be gone in version 9. The rumor has it that it's gonna be pushed back to version 10. And I kind of, I'll go with that rumor. The installation base or deployment base is way too big just to deprecate it. What was going away is SOAP endpoint. Our famous your organization URL /XRM services /2011 /organization.svc. That is going away, or was going away in the next version, but people say that it might stay for another round.
Keep it around for the old times.
Yeah, just
The old
for old
times.
time's sake.
For the good old days.
Overall, look, yeah, I have to say that I loved Lisbon. Never been there, but it's a great place. And you've seen my posts, like it's food,
Well, you
people,
now
old town.
now before you went, you said you were looking forward to, what was it? Portuguese something, some kind of pastry.
Tart. Yeah.
How were they?
Yeah, it's awesome.
And what do they call them?
Oh, pastel de nata.
There you go.
I made it a habit. Every morning I had one.
Nice.
Not to resist. It's a flaky pastry with the custard, and it's grilled to perfection, or baked to perfection, I should say, not grilled.
One thing that I've seen some news about that I'm actually getting more excited about than I have been is social engagement. And a couple things have happened. Since our last episode, Microsoft released this thing called the Social Selling Assistant, which is kind of taking the power of social engagement, but making it more usable by actual end users. So helping end users who are in scenarios where you're using social media to promote content, focusing on specific scenarios of sharing recommendations and giving recommendations based on when they should post things and right timing for them and getting feedback. The other thing I saw recently as well that's coming out and I believe is available now is the Power BI connector for social engagement. To me, that one of the things that when I've been in conversation with clients or prospective clients about it, that I'm always asked is, can I take this data and extend it and change the way I report on it? And this, to me, is really at least the start of that answer. And that's where seeing how effective our social marketing strategy is, I think that can make this technology, which was very powerful but wasn't the most approachable, making it more focused and role specific, I think is a good move.
Are they using streaming Power BI or just normal Power BI?
I have not played with it, but yeah, I believe it's streaming.
That's nice because
and you can control how much data, it gives you the parameter control how much data you're looking at.
The one thing that I've always been impressed with streaming Power BI because you feed real-time data and you project it on the wall or on TV and it just comes alive and it looks very, very impressive regardless what you do. It's just very effective for demos or just projected in your office on TV screen. World domination maps and things like that. So it works extremely well. So,
on the blog post for the Social Selling Assistant, there's a very good video that I thought was, some of these videos are really a lot of fluff, but this is an actual more real world video, showing that. But one of the questions there, how does Social Selling Assistant relate to LinkedIn Sales Navigator? The answer is the Social Selling Assistant is not a replacement for Sales Navigator, but they fit well. So go ahead and use both. I like that answer.
Nice. Wanted to pass something by you guys. You deal with enterprise customers, so you probably you get involved with the licensing more than I do.
Oh, my favorite topic.
Yeah. One thing, just I'm trying to get my head around on-premises licenses. So I was told very explicitly that we now have sales and customer service, right? And we don't have any plans for on-premises. So my question is, what should I do for a system administrator? I need to have at least one system administrator who needs to have, access to everything, right? So what license would I use for a system administrator? Am I reading it correctly that I need to have both? So I would have to buy both sales and customer service.
Or have a plan that covers both.
There is no plan for on-premises.
The plan one should work for either on-prem or for online.
And many of our clients are getting these dual use licenses that give them the right to use both.
That's what I was going to ask you guys. I haven't read about it in details, but am I reading correctly that basically because there is no more server license for on-premises, you just go ahead, buy plan or sales or customer service for online, and you get online instance, tick, and you also have rights to use it for unlimited number of on-premises instances, tick, 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 tick. And you can also bring it to your hosting partner and use it under SPLA, tick, tick.
That's my understanding, but I always defer to Microsoft on that question. Sometimes you get a couple answers from Microsoft too. So get the answer you like and go with it.
True. You keep asking until you get the answer you like. Is that the approach?
That's what my kids do, and it seems to work for them. So if mom doesn't give you the answer, ask dad.
Oh,
ask mom again.
We stop it in its tracks. What?
Mr. Hobbit, the next topic is apparently we have a new product name for our part of Dynamics 365. I don't know if you've seen this, but apparently a lot of the tweets we're seeing and Microsoft documentation is now referring to this thing called Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement as the name for instead of saying the part of Dynamics 365 that used to be called CRM, we can now say Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement. What do you think?
365 Customer Engagement, and then towards the end of the year, it will become Dynamics 365 Customer Relationship Management, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, we were all struggling with what do we call this thing because you couldn't say CRM anymore, but if you said Dynamics 365, that could be AX. And then they were calling it Dynamics 365 Sales, which ignores all the customer service and marketing people and everybody who's not a salesperson. So
is it?
And I remember hearing the rumor 2 years ago that we were going to be changing the product name to Customer Engagement. So this is kind of in line with that.
But is it Dynamics 365 for customer engagement? Like it's for operations? Or is it just Dynamics 365 customer engagement?
I've seen it Dynamics 365 customer engagement.
I know it's nitpicky, but I'd like them to stay consistent. If they're going to throw the 4 in there, throw a 4 in there. Well, or you could just handle it the way I do and just call it Dynamics 365 and know that you're not deploying operations or financials and keep going on that route.
So I'd like to thank everybody for listening to Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement Audio.
So would that make a CE audio?
Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement Tip of the Day.
Yeah. Would that make a CE audio and CE Tip of the Day? I don't think so.
I guess. I don't know. I can't keep up with it. I feel bad for the people who are trying to do SEO search optimization for websites for the latest Microsoft terms.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
rebel. I'm on the rebel side. I still introduce myself to people as I just give up on this BS MVP. I introduce myself as Dynamics 365 MVP.
Yeah.
What do you do, guys?
Yeah, same.
Yeah, we are business solutions MVPs.
Right, but I mean, no one's going to know what business solutions are. And they know what they are, but they don't know in a Microsoft context. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I like customer engagement because the whole XRM thing. That's why they stopped. That's why there's an X instead of the. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and one thing our friend Yuka Nirnan pointed out on his excellent posts about this is the name of the deployment exam is now Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement Online Deployment. And that's where it got confusing because if you had both the AX and the CRM exams and you have one called Online Deployment, they had to distinguish between it. So it kind of feels like a reluctant term. Like they want to use Dynamics 365, but they're acknowledging kind of reluctantly that, you know what, we need to have some clarification for things like exams and other purposes so we don't confuse people and people take this and think it's the AX or the 365 operations deployment exam.
Which makes sense.
All right. So, does anybody have any tool recommendations?
There was something that cropped up during the training. I would say, look, I don't know. Did we mention it before? I'm so impressed, and the more I use it, the more I'm impressed with Visual Studio Code.
Visual Studio what?
Code.
Oh, okay.
It's Visual Studio, lightweight, kind of Visual Studio, very, very extensible. Runs on Windows, Linux, I think on Mac as well. It runs on everything. And it's got so many... The one thing that impressed me is it's got so many extensions. Like the other day, I needed to write some Markdown, and so do we have a Markdown preview? And here we go. There's add-on, and add-on for this, add-on for that, and add-on for for XML and for Node.js and the Node.js terminal and this and this and that. There was PowerShell here, everywhere. It's like so powerful in terms of extensibility. It's wonderful, and it's extremely lightweight. So definitely, it's right up there. with Visual Studio, and in some instances it's much better than Visual Studio. It's got.
So is that the? I know they were open. What did they open sourced Visual Studio?
I think
is that like the end result of that?
I think Visual Studio Code is open source. I think I'm going to double check for you.
Yeah, I think that's the result of them open sourcing it, which is a good thing. Which adds relevance to Microsoft by making their tooling available on other platforms.
GitHub, VS Code, yeah, it's on GitHub, definitely.
What?
And it runs on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. So it's just, yeah, definitely my tool would be my tool recommendation. If I didn't recommend it before, otherwise I'll find something else. But
well, I've got one as well, kind of following up my Microsoft Flow discussion one of the last episodes. I decided to dig into If This Then That, IFTTT, and see just what's the difference, what the difference is. And I found a nice comparison in just playing with it, in that there's some things I like Flow better, but there's actually some Microsoft services, weirdly enough, that work better with IFTTT, especially the more personal services. I'll give you an example. If you use OneNote on OneDrive Personal rather than OneDrive for Business, which I mainly do, that works with IFTTT, where it doesn't work with Flow. Flow has to be OneNote Business. And also, what I really like about IFTTT is the Alexa triggers. You can create your own triggers for your Alexa, not Alexa CRM. I always wonder, when people listen to our podcast and it was sponsored by Alexa CRM, if their Alexas wake up and start doing something.
Did you see this wonderful XKCD cartoon where the guy says how to ensure that your dinner conversations are not eavesdropped when you're at someone's house? You walk into the house and you say, Alexa, order 2 tons of creamed corn. Alexa, confirm the purchase.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is funny. It is funny.
Yeah, I read that regularly. But so I've created Alexa triggers to wake my children up. Since we have the Philips Hue light bulbs, and I say, Alexa, wake up Jack, and it starts blinking his light on and off.
That's
and
cool.
And you can have IFTT can call you, so you can have it call you and give you a message. So I made one to give me a wake up call.
Hold on, is that the one of those services, Get Out of the Dinner Date, where you can talk on your phone to actually do a fake call to you?
Yeah, it can be used for that, but you can also use that just for other purposes, or to call somebody to tell them something. So I now have, what I like about Flow versus IFTTT is IFTTT can only have one action. So if you have if this, then do this. But you can have the same trigger multiple, create the same trigger command for multiple recipes in IFTTT, so it's a little bit more kludgy to set up. Okay. But I found, useful uses for where Flow will actually send text messages. IFTTT, you can send text messages, but it's doing the email hack where you're doing like your phone number at verizonmessages.com or whatever.
Okay. But can I order tip of the day article from you? Can you compare it with IFTTT as well as Zapier?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I've been thinking of doing that post.
Because the one thing that I was impressed with Zapier, remember when OData version 2, V2, came out? That was kind of ages ago, it seems to be. I managed to create, before Microsoft even ventured into all this sort of stuff, I managed to create a Zap, they call it Zap in Zapier, a Zap that was creating leads using OData interface. It's like, that was awesome. So I managed to configure it ages ago, and it was working. I was demoing. It was a bit painful to configure, but it was working. That was funny thing. Like, I wonder that Zapier is definitely improved since then. So I wonder how does it compare to IFTTT and Flow. So we should really do the metrics like side by side. So what is better?
Yeah, that'd be cool. The other thing that IFTTT does with your phone is location services that Flow doesn't have. So if you want to have something triggered whenever you get somewhere or whenever you leave somewhere, and it's great for home automation. So if I want to have my lights all turn off when I leave the area or something like that, or have it text my wife when I'm about to get home. The one I'm trying to set up now is have it start the Superman theme playing when I come home. That would be amazing.
In fact, this aside, I have an application. We created an application for one of the customers, and it's now part of CRM. What they wanted to do, they wanted a clock-in facility, not because they wanted to keep tab on people coming in and going out, but because they were in the business, client is in the business where they have extremely valuable resources, like they have senior nurses that assist during the surgery, and those nurses, like they move between different surgeries. So you need to know where they are at any given point in time, so you can direct them to be here or there or everywhere. You need to keep track of who is where with your staff, right? It's which office they're in. So first we created a clock-in facility, so you kind of start CRM and then you push the button clock in, you select the office and the drop-down clock in. I was fine. But then we realized everyone is walking around with mobile phones, so we did a geofencing and wrote a small app for the phone. So basically, when they're in vicinity of any given office, it just clocks them in. So checks them in, and when they leave the area, it clocks them out. So that works like 83%. It works sometimes all the time. Let's put it this way.
Sometimes all the time.
Nice. This episode is brought to you by our friends at KingswaySoft. KingswaySoft is a leading integration solution provider offering software solutions that make data integration affordable and painlessly easy. Thousands of enterprise clients from over 65 countries and regions rely on KingswaySoft to integrate data with various application systems in order to drive their business efficiency and fully leverage their information assets. KingswaySoft is a leading provider of Microsoft Dynamics integration software, including Dynamics 365, CRM, AX, NAV, GP, SL, as well as many other applications such as Marketo, Dropbox, QuickBooks, and Salesforce. Whether you need one solution or several, KingswaySoft works easily within the SSIS platform to make your integration process as quick and easy as possible. Many of their clients have seen 3 to 10 times greater data integration performance after switching to the SSIS integration toolkit. Well, Sean, you wanted to talk about solution management, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to get into a long, drawn-out discussion about it, but I wanted, especially since George is the true developer, I'm doing air quotes right now, I wanted to get your take on when you're implementing Dynamics 365, customer engagement, trying to use the terms now, how do you manage your solutions? How do you port customizations from dev to test to prod? I've seen a lot of different ways that it can be done. Some are a little bit more labor intensive than others. There's obviously, we talked about tools in XRM Toolbox for solution exporter or solution mover rather, that work fantastic. And those work well if they're smaller. Once you get into a big solution, it'll time out. You have to extend your timeouts, etc. But really where I'm going is, do you try to isolate your customizations apart from their dependencies so that you have a multiple level solution deployment, when you have a clear install pattern? So obviously you install your managed solutions first, and then with your unmanaged solutions, you have a clear path to get the customizations moved over. I also look at this as a way to isolate where I'm wanting to update. So if I'm making a change to a form or a view, I go to my entity solution. If I want to update some script or add a new web resource, I go to my script solution, right? So it's compartmentalizing.
You're implying that you have entity solution, that you have script solution.
Yes.
Sometimes people partition. Well, there are two ways, two schools. They're not two schools thinking. They're more like which one you apply for any given solution.
Mm-hmm.
So one is you partition by entity, by script, by report. So you partition by the feature, CRM feature,
mm-hmm.
right? The other school, you partition by the solution feature. So you could have like a basic customer management, and on top of that, wealth management. On top of that, like mortgage solution and things like that. So if you're working within the bank, for example, right? So you would have
right. I'm talking less about like IP solutions, more so in your deployment. Like say you put an IP solution in an environment and then you customize on top of that. How do you manage those additional customizations so you don't have to bring over the entire IP solution to every environment every time you make a change?
Well, I was actually in Amsterdam talking to people. They have a very extensive solution or set of solutions for vertical. And they have, I think, 54, 57 different solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And they automated a lot of processes. So the rule of thumb is that how you partition, like how you decide which feature goes into which solution, is totally up to you. So you can partition by entity, by CRM kind of unit.
Mm-hmm.
So by entity, by reports go here, workflow goes there.
That's kind of how I go. Plugins, processes, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can also partition by business,
mm-hmm.
Particularly if you build in verticals.
Right.
Anyway, so you partition those. It's very important to keep dependencies in check, so you know what depends on what. Mm-hmm. So when you start stacking up your solution, so you know the dependencies. But the one feature, and that's what I've been talking throughout this week to people about it, is that if you do something more than once, you automate it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you write script, it could be PowerShell, could be code, whatever, but you automate it. And funny enough, there is another XKCD cartoon where he estimated basically how much time you can invest if you do some task, let's say daily, 5 minutes daily,
mm-hmm.
how much time you can afford to invest into automating this task. So if you do task, let's say 5 minutes once a year, obviously you can't afford to invest too much into automating this task.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do a task, let's say on a weekly basis, 1 hour on a weekly basis, you probably can invest like 5 days into it. So that was, he had this graph dependency, how much you can afford to invest into tasks. So what I'm saying is basically, that was interesting and funny and useful. So the idea was that, that if you do something more than once, and if you copy your solution and deploy your solution more than once, you do automation. So you write script, you write, and these days you can use PowerShell.
Mm-hmm.
So the number of PowerShell libraries.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one with XRM tooling. There is another one, XRM data, a very powerful wrapper to manage data in Dynamics 365 customer engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Did I get that right?
You did.
Or
you did fine.
Engagement. Yeah. Okay. So now there are methods to import the solution. Now there are methods to apply patches.
Right.
So it's basically getting to the point where you can automate the full process, and you can disassemble your solution, you can reassemble your solution, you can do some patching. Sometimes you have to do undocumented stuff, but it's important to automate the process.
Well, no. And I wasn't really going into the integration part. I agree with all that. I was really just talking about when you're not deploying a full business solution package, how do you manage your your customizations. But I
think that could work. A couple things I would keep in mind are the people who are going to be doing it going to actually be able to keep that system up? Because the one person hits the wrong button while they're adding something to a solution, all of a sudden things are all mixed together anyway. Right. And it's also, you have to have the discipline to know you have all your dependencies in there, because CRM is built to notify you that, hey, this script isn't here or this dependency is not there. And if you ignore that but then you forget to put that piece in the other solution, then you're up a creek.
Yeah.
I think too, it's different whether you're an enhancement solution or your initial deployment, because once you get it moved over there, do you leave those, since this is, I'm assuming, an unmanaged solution, are you leaving those folders, or are you then deleting the solutions out? Because what happens when you add a script later on, do you add it to the existing solution or just create new solutions and go from there? Or do you wind up with the 500 unmanaged solutions listed in the solution area?
Well, in dev it can get that bad, but my personal approach is I try to clean up from dev and make test and prod as clean as possible, where I'm only having my focused component solutions with the managed solutions, and that's it. So
it's quite interesting that the one thing I would probably personally I would stay away from is mixing managed and unmanaged. Is there any good reason for you to deliver some unmanaged layer?
So
on top of managed, I'm not saying managed versus unmanaged. What I'm saying is, if you go in with unmanaged, stick with unmanaged. If you go in with managed, stick with managed. So is there a particular reason for mixing it up? Because what I'm hearing is that, we've got this managed foundation, but then we put on top of it a unmanaged layer of some, some end user customizations, and I'm questioning these unmanaged layers.
Well, I think that's a debate, the discussion we could have. That's a bigger discussion, I think, probably, but because if you have IP, you could deliver that in a managed format, and that goes into the environment. Then when you're configuring, in addition to that, creating additional custom entities, relationships, etc., that could be unmanaged. So, yes, I understand where you're going. If you're starting with managed, you should just stay with managed, but it doesn't always work for every project. So.
Yeah, it's where you're starting with a ISV solution or something that is managed, and the customization you're doing specific to that client is in unmanaged form, so they have control over it.
This has been CRM Audio, the Microsoft Dynamics CRM podcast. You can hear previous episodes on our website, crm.audio. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, follow us on Twitter at CRM Audio, or leave us a comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/CRM podcast. If you have any topic suggestions or questions that you would like for us to answer on a future episode, please drop us an email at voice@crm.audio. Special thanks to Dale Simmons for our theme music. Go check out his website, dalesimmons.com. Please join us next time on CRM Audio.